Now, you might be wondering, why is Ken going live at 11:28 p.m. at night Central Standard Time? I'm not sure where you're watching from, but that's what time it is where I am. Well, the fact of the matter is, the reason that I decided to go live right now is because right now is a time of day that used to get me into a ton of trouble. I had a really, really bad habit of late night binge eating. And right now, 11:30, it's definitely one of the times that I would get these just cravings. I would want a sandwich or two, a bag of chips, a glass of milk and some cookies, just whatever it was. And whatever I started eating, guaranteed I wouldn't stop there. I'd be making a turkey, cheese, and avocado sandwich, and while I was making one sandwich, I'd be eating half of another. Literally, I would put the mayonnaise, and I was addicted to mayonnaise. I just put the mayonnaise on the bread, and while I was stacking the sandwich with turkey and all the other things that I wanted on it, I'd be slathering up another piece of bread and just eat that, just the bread and mayonnaise. And, of course, if you're going to have a sandwich, you need to have a bag of chips or something to go with it. And then, once you've had your sandwich and your chips and maybe another sandwich, you probably want a cookie or two. And if you're going to have a cookie or two, you're probably going to want, it's like when you give a mouse a cookie, right? It's like one thing after another after another. And so when I made the decision to go on a plant-based diet and to sincerely try to begin to lose weight and to change my life, I knew that late night eating or binge eating was going to be something that I needed to deal with quickly and decisively. You see, I had gotten myself into a pretty bad situation. I weighed 335 pounds on January 1st. I had type 2 diabetes. My A1C was about a 6.7 at my January checkup. I had hypertension, and I was on several different medications. The doctors around that time diagnosed me with the beginnings of fatty liver disease, and we're even talking about congestive heart failure. So things were pretty serious. I mean, I couldn't walk up the stairs without running out of breath, and I had no energy. My legs were swollen, and I had really bad edema. It was not good. I was a mess. Hi, Jay. Welcome. Glad you could join me. My health was terrible. I was not in a good place. And I actually was very disheartened. I was very overwhelmed. I had tried to go on diets in the past. I had done pretty well at times, but the reality is I was never able to stick with it for very long. And I finally got to the point where I was so desperate, I went to it is at the moment, but I'll answer some questions in a few minutes after I finish telling this story. I ended up going to my doctor, and I said, you know what, I need help. What about these weight loss drugs? Is there any chance that you would be willing to put me on one of those? And my doctor was amenable to it. She's like, yeah, I think you're a good candidate. I mean, I had diabetes, and I was way overweight, like I said, about 335 pounds at the time. And my doctor agreed to prescribe Mounjaro. And so I went to the pharmacy to pick up the prescription, and lo and behold, there was a problem with the insurance. The insurance had not approved the drug in the sense that it needed pre-approval. Apparently, there were a bunch of hoops I hadn't jumped through yet that they wanted me to jump through. And so I thought, well, here I am. It was time to do something. And I remembered thinking, one of the ways that these weight loss drugs work is they kind of put you in a situation where you have to eat a healthier diet. And so I thought, what if I just start eating healthy now, while I wait until I get all this prescription stuff worked out. And so I thought, well, the healthiest diet I can think of is a plant-based diet. I had read How Not to Die by Dr. Michael Greger. I had read the book How Not to Diet by Dr. Michael Greger, and both of those shared a lot of scientifically backed research and analysis that really made me confident that a whole food plant-based diet was the healthiest option. And I had seen a number of documentaries, things like that Sugar film that really pointed out the dangers of the standard American diet. I had seen Forks Over Knives, which was an incredible documentary. Those you may have seen. I bet a lot of you have probably seen Forks Over Knives. Another one, if you haven't seen it, that I strongly recommend is called Game Changers. Man, I'll tell you what, that'll make a believer out of you. That's a great documentary. So, I was watching those, and I had really developed this sense of confidence, around a plant-based diet. I wasn't necessarily confident in my ability to stay on one, but I believed they would work. So while I was waiting for this prescription to be filled, I started eating healthier. And within a couple of weeks, I had lost like 10, 15, 20 pounds. It's like the weight was just falling off with these changes that I was making. But I knew that I still needed to address the late night binge eating, because even if I was eating healthier things, eating too much of those healthier things, especially late at night, was going to be a problem. So I thought, okay, what am I going to do? How am I going to overcome this bad habit of binge eating? I have a tendency to stay up late, and that's a bad habit all on its own, which I haven't quite defeated yet. So I'm a night owl, and I tend to stay up late. But how was I going to avoid wanting to eat everything under the sun when it was late? Apples and peanut butter and dates and, more, fattening foods if I could find them. And finally I thought, okay, I've read Atomic Habits by James Clear, and I've read The Power of Habit, and I understand that there are triggers and there are routines and there are rewards. So I thought, okay, what is the trigger that is causing me to binge eat late at night? Well, one of the triggers was being up late. Okay, I'm not going to get rid of that trigger, at least not right now. So how do I take this bad habit and turn it into a good one? Well, I start with the trigger. Now I have to find a new routine that is a healthy routine rather than the unhealthy routine of binge eating. And so what I did is I began to have tea. A particular tea. This is hot cinnamon sunset tea. That is the flavor right there. I'll just show it to you. And so what I would do is anytime I would have the urge to binge eat, I would make a cup of this tea. Making the cup of tea replaced the process of making the sandwich. And then drinking the tea replaced the process of eating the sandwich. The tea was hot, so it took a little time to drink it because it needed to cool down a little bit. The hot cinnamon sunset flavor is a powerful and a strong flavor. So, that's good stuff. And so thank you, I appreciate that. So that tea replaced the process of making and eating a sandwich. And by doing that, I was able to still have the same reward, which was I had something that I was able to enjoy the flavor of and sort of have that ritual of having something, not to eat, but something to drink that was flavorful and satisfying late at night. So I kept the same trigger, replaced it with a healthier routine, and ended up with a comparable reward. And if you've read The Power of Habit by James Clear, then you know that's how working on a habit loop and replacing bad habits with good ones is how it works. So there you go. How was school in the 70s? Well, school in the 70s was interesting, to say the least. It was a lot different than it is now. And I was actually in school in the 70s, but it was just elementary school. I'm not quite as old as the beard might lead you to believe, but there you go. So anyway, that's my story, and that's how I avoid late night binge eating. That's how I overcome that particular bad habit, and it's part of how I've lost 99 pounds this year. So since January 1st, I've lost 99 pounds on a plant-based diet. I am 1 pound away from my 100-pound target, and I am looking forward to crossing that finish line. Once I do that, my plan is to continue losing weight and continue to work on my health. I will say, because I'd mentioned it before, that losing this weight and being on a plant-based diet has allowed me to eliminate the need for blood sugar medications. My A1C, which had been 6.7 in July, 6.7 in January, by July had dropped all the way to 5.2, which is not even pre-diabetic. So I was able to go from type 2 diabetes to having a blood glucose level that was actually below that of pre-diabetic people. And I was able to eliminate the use of metformin and glipicides, and I'm just a lot happier. Things are going great, and I'm feeling really good. So I can go up and down the stairs now without losing my breath. I know that's not a huge accomplishment, but I started doing a lot more walking. I actually went for a 3-mile walk last night, and it's going in the right direction. Let's see, Camille, you probably don't remember me, but I thank you for some advice that you gave me. I didn't really fix my life or anything, but it really got me thinking. Well, you know what? Thinking is the first step, Camille, right? Thinking is the first step. Our thoughts can change our actions can change our habits, and our habits can change our lives. But it starts with our thinking. So, yeah. And WAPOW, you are on the verge of being blocked. So keep it up, buddy, and you will be exiled. I don't allow disrespect in my chats. So we'll move on from there. All right? Behave yourself or be gone. That's your option. Well, I've told my story, and I think enough of you have heard it, at least those who want to. I'll stick around for 1 or 2 more question and responses, but I'm going to ignore the ones that are not serious. Let's see, how do we do that? Remove. And let's see, let's do that again. Hide user on this channel. You are gone, my friend. Hey, look at that, now nobody can see you. Feel free to make all the funny comments you want, but you're gone, buddy. Let's see. Anyone else have anything to say that is worthwhile or interesting? You are welcome to share your thoughts. All right. That's all I have for tonight, unless someone else, I figure that guy knew me in real life. Maybe, I don't know, maybe. Who knows? People are very brave online when they're too far away for you to take action against them, but I have the power to block them from the channel, and that's what I've done. What are your thoughts on Ariana Grande not winning the Grammys? Well, honestly, I think I liked her better as Kat. I enjoyed her on Victorious. She's great. She's cool in that regards. I didn't even know she was nominated for a Grammy. I have to admit I am a bit old. And though I do teach high school and hang out with high school students, I don't always follow all of the music that they listen to. So I know who Ariana Grande is, but I have no opinion on her inclusion or exclusion from the Grammys. I am doing excellent, thank you. A couple more. I have no idea what that means. Oh, Hank Hill, there you go, that's funny. Of course I know Victorious. Of course I do. I used to watch iCarly too. I mean, my kids are in their late 20s and 30s. They grew up watching that stuff. Have you read Catcher in the Rye? Yes, I have read Catcher in the Rye. I have read Catcher in the Rye. Reminds you of a good friend of me. Okay. I am a high school teacher, so I spend more time with high school students than I do with adults. I teach English. What else you got? Anybody else? Any last thoughts, comments, or questions? We are 14 minutes into this live. I'm going to stick around for about another minute, and then I'm going to say goodnight. Censorship is an interesting question. I don't consider it censorship to block someone from my own channel. I kind of think of this as my living room. If somebody were rude in my living room, I'd kick them out too. Yeah, Catcher in the Rye is a really good book. It's an unusual book, to be sure. It actually made the banned book list, She lost to Billie Eilish. Wow, no, that is kind of interesting. I don't know, that's weird. Yes. I currently do intermittent fasting about, I don't know, 50, 60% of the time. I've done longer term fasts in the past prior to my diabetes diagnosis. My doctor wasn't really thrilled with the idea of my doing long term fasts, but now that I'm no longer on diabetes medication, I suppose it's something I consider. The longest fast I've ever done was, I think, 10 days. I did a water fast for 10 days. It was a challenge, but I felt great afterwards. Yeah. So, but yeah, I have done fasting. I do like to do a little intermittent fasting. I definitely think it helps. I think the best part for me, at least, of intermittent fasting is the idea of having a set time, a cutoff window where I don't eat any later than that, and that does definitely seem to help. Yeah, 10 days was a lot. It was a lot. The first 3 days are the hardest. After the first 3 days, you really aren't that hungry anymore. Who did I vote for, Harris or Trump? How do you know I voted for either of them? You know, there are other parties and there are other candidates. Frankly, I didn't like either of those guys, but, you know, I don't want to get political. Everybody has their own opinions and they're welcome to them. What else you got? Well, all right. We digress, and it's time for me to say goodnight. So I'm going to enjoy the rest of this tea, and I'm going to wish you all well. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening, and God bless you all.